Daniel Sports Central, we go over our next team prediction of this offseason, and it's going to be over the Washington Huskies, a team that went 11-2 overall in the 2022 season. This was a true contender once again last season, and the future is very bright for this team. 2023 could be even better for this team. I wouldn't be surprised if this team was even more of a national contender in 2023. We'll be talking about Washington here today, analyze this team and predict their schedule game by game in this video. Let's get started with a quick recap of 2022. Once again, the record was 11-2, and this was an outstanding team last season. They had two close losses in the middle part of the season there against UCLA and Arizona State. Both games were within one score, but otherwise this team was undefeated. They beat Kent State week 1, beat Portland State week 2, took care of Michigan State 39-28. That was an impressive win there in week 3. Also beat Stanford before their two losses. But even after those two losses, they beat Arizona by 10, beat Cal by a touchdown, and then down the stretch, they really played well. I mean, Oregon State and Oregon were both two of the top teams in the Pac-12 last season. You beat Oregon State 24-21, beat Oregon on the road 37-34, beat Colorado no problem 54-7, and then took care of Washington State on the road 51-33. So a really strong finish of the season. Went to the Alamo Bowl, took on Texas. 27-20 was the final there. A nice win to finish out the season. And once again, I mean, considering this team was just 4-8 only a couple of seasons ago in 2021, that was a huge step up for this team. First season under Kalen DeBoer. So, I mean, the future looks very bright for this team. And honestly, as we look forward to 2023 here, the way this team was 11-2 last season and the experience this team will have looking forward to 2023, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if we saw this team very much in contention to be back in the college football playoff. This team was in the college football playoff back in that 2016 season where they lost in the semifinals. But, I mean, this team has got tremendous potential to get back there in 2023. Let's look at the roster preview now. So, Michael Penix is coming back, the starting quarterback of this team, who has got tremendous experience now. I mean, you think back to his time at Indiana. He was at Indiana for 4 seasons before transferring to Washington. So this is going to be his 6th year of college football coming up here. And I mean, you think back to his time at Indiana, I'm going to point out between 2019 and 2020 in particular. You remember after 2019, the way that he played, he was still splitting time with Peyton Ramsey at Indiana in 2019. But looking forward to 2020, Indiana actually had some pretty high expectations because of the upside that many, including myself, saw in Michael Penix. And of course, 2020 just was a weird season. Didn't really go the way that Michael Penix had hoped, obviously. But even 2021 was a bit of a disappointment too. But we still knew after 2019 that this was a quarterback with a lot of upside. And we finally saw that big breakthrough 3 years later in 2022. I mean, last season, 4,600 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 picks, and a 65% completion rate. Truly an insane season for him. And I mean, it just makes you wonder too. You see how he performed in 2022. How much better can he get? I mean, this is still a quarterback, I think, that with that big breakthrough in 2022, it looked as if he was just going to fade away after a disappointing 2021 season. But Michael Penix is turning into a guy that is definitely a big standout and is going to be in a lot of storylines looking forward to 2023. So he's coming back. Wayne Talapapa is gone, the top running back of this team, but at least he got Cameron Davis coming back, the second in the backfield. And this receiving core has got the potential to be, I would argue, the best in the country. It got Rome Odunze coming back, Jalen McMillan coming back. I mean, last season, Odunze put up over 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. Jalen McMillan put up 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. So, I mean, having both of them back, I mean, this is going to be a dangerous team offensively. Even Polk is coming back, the third receiver. Jack Westover is coming back, the top tight end. This is a receiving core that is going to be stacked. And you got Michael Penix coming back. The backfield looks overall pretty good. I mean, this is an offense that is going to be pretty dangerous looking forward to 2023. Even the defense is looking pretty good too. I mean, you're losing 1 on the D-line, 2 linebackers, and 2 in the secondary. This is a team with huge potential. There's no hiding that. I mean, you think back to their 4-8 2021 season. I mean, and suddenly, a couple of years later, I would argue this team is looking very much like a national contender. I mean, the Pac-12, I've mentioned this a few times as well, but the Pac-12 is truly, I would argue, definitely the 3rd best conference in the nation for 2023, and that's not usually something that you see. But you got 6 really good teams in the Pac-12. The 4 main standouts are definitely Washington, Oregon, USC, and Utah. But you also got Oregon State and UCLA not too far behind. I mean, the Pac-12 is going to be stacked, and honestly, a one-loss Pac-12 team very much will be able to be in the college football playoff in 2023, I do think. So is this team a potential national contender? I've said it already. Yes, this team is definitely, they got the potential for that. They got the talent. Everything looks really good. Transfer portal and recruiting. Dylan Johnson is coming in from Mississippi State. So you're adding a running back from Mississippi State there, which is going to be good. Daniel Nagata is also coming in from Arizona State. Both of them are expected to be behind Cameron Davis, but it's good to have some nice depth in the backfield. Taj Davis, a receiver from last season, is off to Cal. Jeremy Bernard is in to replace him from Michigan State. Savell Smalls, edge rusher, is off to Colorado. Zach Durfee, edge rusher, is coming in from Sioux Falls. Raylan Goforth, linebacker, is coming in from USC, and you also bring in Jabbar Muhammad from Oklahoma State. So there's overall the transfer portal has been generally good for this team. Recruiting wise, 25th in the country, 4th in the Pac-12. You got 8 4-stars coming in, 13 3-stars. So I mean, overall, this is a team with tremendous talent. I've got this team at an 8 out of 10. I'd probably put them at a 9 out of 10 on the future forecast meter. I mean, I'll say this though as well. I think 2023, this team is built to win. We'll see. I mean, the recruiting looks good, so it seems as if for the next few years, this team should still remain a contender. But I'll say this too. This is as good of a chance as Washington is going to have, especially in the near future, to win and get to the college football playoff. But the problem is that this is the one season where the Pac-12 is just stacked across the board. Oregon, Bo Nix coming back. That's an offense that's going to be great. I mean, you think about USC. I mean, USC next year is going to be even better than in 2022. USC's offense was already incredible in 2022. You could have argued that they had the best offense in the country last season. And now looking forward to 2023, their offense could be even better. And their defense, the part that really came back to bite them many times in 2022, is going to be even better. So Pac-12 is going to be stacked. Let's take a look at the schedule now. You got Boise State in week 1 at home, Tulsa home week 2, Michigan State on the road week 3. That's a crucial game there. It is a dangerous road game going to Michigan State. Washington is definitely the more talented team there, but it is a dangerous matchup. Then you got Cal at home, Arizona on the road, Oregon at home, Arizona State also at home, then Stanford on the road. November, you got USC on the road, which USC, that road game is going to be massive game, one of the biggest games in the country, I do think, for 2023. And then Utah, you got them at home, Oregon State on the road, and then Washington State at home to finish out the regular season. So, I mean, it's not too difficult of a schedule. It's definitely manageable. That Michigan State game, though, in week 3, once again, that's a dangerous one. I do think you're more talented than them, but going to East Lansing, it's a bit dangerous there. So, got to make sure you get it done in September, that's for sure. But looking at September here, I do think you go 4-0 through September. Boise State, Tulsa, both easy wins there. Boise State could be decent, but I think you take care of them. Michigan State on the road. I see this being a closer matchup, but once again, Washington just the more talented team. Michigan State also going to be dealing with some inexperience, which will be kind of tough, I think, at the beginning of the season for them. So get a nice win there. You beat Cal at home, so you're 4-0 heading into your second month of action. And then you got Arizona on the road. Arizona could be okay, but I think you take care of them, no problem. Then Oregon. Big matchup on the 14th here. I do like you to win this matchup. This would be a big one here. I mean, once again, I've mentioned the top 4, I think, in the Pac-12, your big 4. Washington, Oregon, USC, and Utah. I mean, it's going to come down to one of those 4 teams to win the conference. And honestly, I would be shocked if a Pac-12 team didn't make it to the playoff this season. The conference is just going to be, I just feel like, too good for a team not to make it unless we see something similar happen as we've seen the past few years with the top teams just beating each other up. And in the end, we see like 4 or 5 2-loss teams at the top. But I think you beat Oregon, a close game here, an incredible matchup, and you get it done against the Ducks. You beat Arizona State and you beat Stanford as well. So I've got you 8-0, cruising heading into the USC matchup. And USC on the road, this is where I do think you take a loss. Honestly, though, I'll say this. I've got USC and Washington both undefeated heading into that matchup. That's going to be one of the biggest games of the season there for sure. I mean, it's going to be one of the biggest games of the season across the board, I think. That's going to really determine who's going to be big time in contention for the college football playoff. And I still think, I mean, regardless of what happens in that game, both teams are still contenders. You never know what can happen. But I'll say this, too, about USC. I mean, USC last season offensively, they were just nothing short of outstanding. Caleb Williams, offensively, they're stacked. They're still stacked looking forward to 2023. Defensively, they're going to be even better, and that's why I truly think that I could see them making it to the college football playoff and being a true national contender in 2023. For Washington, though, I mean, offensively, Washington can definitely compete up against USC. And Washington's offense, I think, can get it done against USC's defense. But problem is that I do think Washington's defense, the defense still has got a lot of experience looking forward to 2023, but can it handle USC's offense, Caleb Williams and all that? I mean, it's also on the road. I got to favor USC there, but a close game and an outstanding matchup. You come back and you got Utah the next week at I mean, that's just going to be a huge game to turn around and come back against Utah. I do think you beat the Utes there, but a close one. And an excellent matchup there as well. Oregon State on the road. This is also a matchup not to sleep on. You got a tough 3-game stretch here. Oregon State a close one. You beat them. Then you beat Washington State easily to finish out the regular season. So I've got the Huskies at 11-1 for the prediction next season. I think once again, I mean, as far as it goes for predictions, for predicted records in the Pac-12, I've got USC, Washington both at 11-1. So as of now, I've got Washington and USC predicted to rematch in the Pac-12 title game. Winner of that game will be headed to the college football playoff. That's what I'm predicting right now. So Washington is right up there in contention. I just think this is a team with all the experience in the world. And I mean, the way things went in 2022, I would be shocked if this team wasn't a big contender. Once again, there's all the potential in the world. But your range ceiling is 12-0, floor is 8-4. So 8-4 is the worst possible record you could have. That's still pretty unlikely. I've got this team for sure between 10 and 12 wins, with 11-1 being the main prediction. I mean, it sets up pretty well too. I mean, you got Oregon at home, you got Utah at home, both of those pretty favorable. Michigan State is kind of a dangerous one there. It is a non-conference matchup, so if you are going to lose a game in the season, if you have to lose a game, I'd want to lose to Michigan State the most, just because it's a non-conference game, not going to mean too much in the long run. But still, I mean, and there's a lot of potential down the road against several solid Pac-12 teams. But it's really an interesting team. Looking forward to 2023. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on the Huskies, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.